Saturday afternoon in the heat of a protest in downtown Portland. This video shot by Brandon Farley shows a car pushing through the crowd minutes after marching protesters stopped traffic. The driver of the Lexus turns right, hitting one protester who is pushing back on his car. The group then chases after him, and some hit the car with batons. The driver briefly steps outside, then gets back in and drives off. Police say the driver filed a police report and said protesters did around $3,000 in damage to his car.
The driver of the vehicle also reported that he was shoved during that interaction.
Sergeant Chris Burley says police are investigating the case, but so far, none of the protesters involved have contacted investigators. Some have asked why police didn't step in when the protesters stopped traffic. Burley says their inaction came after much consideration, including how best to keep the public safe.
From past experience, the Police Bureau recognizes that introducing officers into some of these events can have the opposite effect of what we want it to have.
The protest was over police response to a shooting the week before. Officers shot and killed one of the suspects, 27-year-old Patrick Kimmins. If you were involved in Saturday's altercation, police say you are potentially the victim of a crime and they want to hear from you. You're asked to call the Portland Police non-emergency line. Laurel.
Thank you, Catherine.